My name is Elena. I am not young anymore. I am 87 years old. I have lived many years. I have seen many things. Now, I am going to see my son. It has been a long time. The plane is ready to leave. People talk. Some laugh. Some are quiet. A voice says, "Please fasten your seatbelt." I listen. I follow the instructions. The plane starts moving. My heart feels heavy. So many memories. I think about the last time I saw my son. He was young. He had big dreams. He said, "Mom, I want to study. I want a better life." I said, "Go, my son. Learn. Be strong." Then he left. Years passed. Letters came, then phone calls, but I never saw him again. Now I have a ticket. I have a seat. I have a destination. I closed my eyes for a moment. My son said, "Come visit me, Mom." I said, "Yes, my son. It is time." A voice interrupts my thoughts. "Would you like something to drink?" I open my eyes. I look at the flight attendant. "Just water, please." She gives me a small cup. I hold it. The plane is quiet now. I hear whispers. I hear footsteps, but my mind is in the past. I remember when I was young. Life was different. Hard. I worked every day. I helped my family. I had dreams too. But I waited. I waited for the right time. Did I make the right choices? Did I do enough? The plane moves smoothly. I think about my son. Will he recognize me? Will he still need me? My journey is not just to another city. It is a journey through time, through memories, through life. I was not always an old woman. I was once a young girl. My family was poor. We did not have much. Every day we worked. My father worked in the fields. My mother cooked and cleaned. I helped her. That was my life. One day I heard children reading. Their voices were clear. They repeated words. I wanted to learn. I said, "Father, can I go to school?" He looked at me. He shook his head. "No, Elena. Girls do not need school. Girls take care of the house." I did not answer, but inside I felt something, a small fire, a question. Why? Why could boys learn? Why not me? At night, I listened to my brothers. They talked about school. They had books. When they slept, I took a book. I opened it. I looked at the letters. I traced them with my finger. I whispered the words. I did not understand everything, but I tried. My mother saw me. She said, "Elena, you must sleep." I said, "I want to learn." She sighed. She did not stop me. Years passed. I learned, little by little. I listened. I copied words. I asked questions. Some people laughed. "Why do you try? You are a girl." But I did not stop. Then I grew older. Min's father said, "It is time to marry." I did not want to marry. I wanted to work. I wanted to learn more. I said, "No, father. I want a different life." He was angry. He did not understand. I left my home. I was afraid, but I knew one thing. I wanted more. I wanted a future. I wanted to prove that I could be more than what others expected. I left my home with nothing. No money, no plan, only hope. I walked to the next town. I looked for work. People said, "You are a woman. What can you do?" I said, "I can work hard." A kind woman gave me a job. She had a small store. She said, "You can clean. You can help with the customers." I said, "Yes, thank you." I worked every day, morning to night. I listened to people talk. I learned new words. I watched how they bought things. I watched how the woman managed the money. One day I said, "Can you teach me to count money?" She looked at me. She smiled. "Yes, Elena, I will teach you." I learned fast. I worked hard. Soon, I was not just cleaning. I was selling. I was helping. People started to know me. They said, "Elena is smart. Elena is good at business." I saved money. It was not much, but it was mine. Then one day I made a big decision. And I said, "I want my own store." The woman laughed. "That is not easy, Elena." I said, "I know, but I will try." I found a small space. I bought a few things to sell. I opened my store. At first, nobody came. People said, "She is just a woman. She will fail." But I did not stop. I smiled. I welcomed everyone. I spoke kindly. Slowly, people came. They bought small things, then more. My store grew. One day a man came. He looked at me. He said, "You are different. You are strong." I did not know what to say. He came back the next day, and the next. He asked me, "Will you marry me?" I thought of my father's words. It is time to marry. But this time I had a choice. I was not a girl with no power. I was a woman who had built something. I looked at the man. I said, "Yes, but only if you respect me. Only if you let me keep my dreams." He smiled. "Yes, Elena." We married. We worked together. We grew the business. Then we had a son. My son. I held him in my arms. I looked at his small face. I made a promise. I whispered, "You will have a better life. You will go to school. You will learn." Years passed. My son grew. He was smart. He loved books. One day he said, "Mom, I want to study in the city." My heart felt heavy. I wanted him close, but I remembered my own past. I remembered my dreams. I smiled. I said, "Go, my son. Learn. Be strong." He packed his things. He said, "I will write to you, Mom. I will call." Then he left, and I waited. I waited for his letters. I waited for his voice on the phone. I waited for the day I would see him again. Years passed. My son was far away. At first, he wrote letters. He called me. He said, "Mom, I am studying. I am learning so much." I smiled. I felt proud. Then the letters came less. The phone calls were short. He said, "Mom, I am busy. I have exams. I have work." I understood, but my heart felt empty. One day, I waited for his call. The phone did not ring. The next day, nothing. A week passed. A month. I wrote a letter. "My son, are you okay?" No answer. I asked myself, did he forget me? Did I send him too far? One night, I sat alone. The store was closed. The house was quiet. I looked at the empty chair. That was my son's chair. But he was not here. I thought, Maybe he does not need me anymore. Maybe I should not have let him go. Then one day, a letter came. My hands shook as I opened it. Mom, I miss you. I have a good job now. I want to see you. Please come visit me. Tears filled my eyes. I touched the paper. My son had not forgotten me. He still wanted me. I made a decision. I would go. I bought a ticket. I packed a small bag. The day of my flight, I stood at the airport. I had never been on a plane before. Everything was new. I felt small. A voice said, "Passengers, please board now." I took a deep breath. I walked forward. I entered the plane. I sat down. The seat felt tight. The plane moved. My heart beat fast. The engine roared. The plane lifted. I was in the air. I thought, this is it. I'm going to see my son. But one question stayed in my mind. Will he recognize me? I looked at my hands. They were old now. My hair was white. My face had lines. My son had left when he was young. Now he was a man. Will he still see me as his mother? Will he hug me like before? I closed my eyes. The memories came back. His small hands holding mine. His voice saying, "Mom, tell me a story." His laughter filling the house. Now, he was far away. He had his own life. He was not a boy anymore. What if he has changed? What if he does not need me? The plane flew through the sky. I held the letter in my hands. My son's words were there. "Mom, I want to see you." But a voice inside me asked, what if he only says that because he feels guilty? What if he does not really want me there? The plane would land soon. My journey was almost over, but my biggest question was still unanswered. Will my son welcome me, or will I be a stranger to him? Now the plane started to descend. The voice said, "We will land soon." My hands felt cold. My heart was beating fast. This is it. I will see my son. But I was afraid. I thought, what if he's not there? What if he changed his mind? The plane landed. People stood up. They took their bags. I sat for a moment. I took a deep breath. Then I stood up too. I walked slowly. I followed the other passengers. I saw a big sign, "Exit." My steps felt heavy. I entered the airport. People were waiting. Some held signs, some held flowers, some hugged their families. I searched for my son, but I did not see him. I looked again, left, right, nothing. My heart dropped. Did he forget? Did I come for nothing? I stood there. People passed by. Nobody looked at me. I felt small. I felt lost. Minutes passed. Then I heard a voice. "Excuse me, ma'am. Are you Elena?" I turned around. A young woman stood there. She had a kind face. She was holding a phone. "Yes," I said. My voice was weak. She smiled. "Your son sent me. He could not come. He had an important meeting. He asked me to bring you to him." I felt something break inside me. My son was not here. I traveled all this way, and he was not here. I nodded. "Okay." She took my bag. "Follow me." I walked with her. I did not say anything. We went outside. A car was waiting. She opened the door. "Please, get in." I sat in the car. The door closed. The city lights passed by. My heart was heavy. He did not come. He sent someone else. I wanted to cry, but I did not. The car stopped. The woman smiled. "We are here." I looked outside. It was a tall building. She opened the door for me. Your son is waiting inside, she said. I walked in. The elevator went up. The doors opened. I saw him. He stood there in a suit. He looked older, taller, stronger. But his face was still my son's face. I wanted to smile, but I waited. I wanted him to speak first. He looked at me. His mouth opened, then he closed it. He took a step forward. Then he said, "Mom, I'm so sorry." His voice cracked. His eyes filled with tears. I did not expect that. He walked to me. He took my hands. He held them tight. I wanted to be there. I tried, but I couldn't leave. I was scared you would be angry. I looked at my son, my grown son. He was not a boy anymore. But now, in this moment, he looked like one. I smiled. I am here now. And at that moment, I knew he had not forgotten me. My son held my hands. His grip was strong, but his hands were shaking. His eyes were full of tears. I had not seen him cry since he was a little boy. "Mom," he said again, his voice soft. "I missed you." I looked at him. My son, the little boy who once held my hand on his first day of school, the boy who ran to me when he was scared. Now he was a man with a suit, a job, a life of his own. But in this moment, he was still my son. "I missed you too," I said, my voice calm. He sighed. "I thought you would be angry. I thought you would feel forgotten." I shook my head. "I waited for you." "Yes, but I knew you were working hard. I knew you were building your future. That is what I wanted for you." He closed his eyes for a second, then looked at me again. "Mom, I should have visited you. I should have called more." I smiled. "I am here now. That is what matters." He let go of my hands and stepped back. "Come, let's go home." "Home?" I asked. "Yes," he said, smiling. "Now, my home. Your home." We walked out together. The air was cool. The city lights were bright. Everything was different, but something inside me felt the same. I was not just a visitor. I was not just an old woman who came from far away. I was still a mother. We got into his car. As we drove, he talked. He told me about his job, his dreams, his struggles. He asked me about my life. "How was the store, Mom? How was everything?" I laughed. "Oh, the store is fine, but business is not as easy as before." He smiled. "Maybe I can help with that." I looked at him. My son was now the one offering help. Time had changed things, but love had not changed. We arrived at his home. It was big, clean, beautiful. He opened the door for me. "Come in, Mom." I stepped inside. The house was warm. On the table there was food, my favorite food. He looked at me. "I cooked for you." I felt my heart grow full. "Thank you, my son." We sat together. We ate. We talked. We laughed. And then, as the night became quiet, he looked at me and said, "Mom, I learned everything from you. You taught me to work hard. You taught me to dream. You taught me to never give up." I felt tears in my eyes. I had always wondered if I had done enough, if I had made the right choices, if my son still needed me. Now I knew the answer. I reached across the table and took his hand. "Life is always moving," I said, "but love never changes." He smiled. "Yes, Mom. And now we are together again." I nodded. I was home. As I sit here in my son's home, I think about my life. The long years, the hard moments, the choices I made. I was once a girl with no voice. A girl who wanted to learn. A girl who wanted more. People told me you can't, but I did. I want you to think about my story, about my journey. Maybe you have dreams you're afraid to follow. Maybe you're waiting for someone to return. Maybe you feel forgotten. But listen to me, you are stronger than you think. You are more important than you believe. You are not alone. So do not be afraid. Move forward, believe in yourself, and never forget, love always finds a way.